When morning broke, the guard was having his breakfast at the same place where he had dinner yesterday. And over at the grade crossing, the gates were up and there were no cars going across until Juliet approached. She blew her whistle and they steamed over the crossing. "Here we go," said the 3 engines. "Women train coming through." It was an intermodal mix-up train. And a few minutes later, the passengers were just waking up in their coach car. And just then, another Amtrak horn sounded, and then the Amtrak Downeaster thundered by on its way to Brunswick, Maine. The Amtrak went along past the big mega consist with all the cars behind. "That was the Amtrak Downeaster," said Juliet. "It goes from Boston North Station to Brunswick, Maine." "I bet it does," said Ava, "because we women trains are really important and pretty." "You sure are," said Lizzie. Meanwhile, a BNSF freight train was carrying hazardous materials like nuclear flasks and radioactive materials. It was a big train with an unusual car in front, called a Schnabel. And it oiled through the station on its way to Salt Lake City, Utah. Further up down the line was a red signal. The BNSF was supposed to wait at the red signal for Juliet to pass, but instead, they passed the red signal without stopping, and it was headed straight for Juliet. "I hope we pass the BNSF soon," said Juliet, "'cause our haulage is going to be over soon." But the BNSF spoke too soon, and all the freight cars behind were toxic. And the train went along. "Bust my buffers!" gasped Juliet. "The BNSF is coming straight toward us!" And it was! The driver turned the ditch lamps on as the BNSF went along, and then the nuclear alarm sounded. "This is an emergency!" called Juliet. "We're gonna crash!" Her driver slammed on the emergency brakes. And then the inappropriate happened. "It sounds like we're under the earth!" yelled Juliet. "This is such an emergency!" And they tipped onto their sides as the fire raged and raged. It was a big-time emergency! And then everything came to a stop. When Katie saw the accident, she was surprised. Luckily, no one was hurt, but Juliet's driver and fireman and the BNSF crew members made it out unhurt before the wreck, and they were all alive. But the train cars were toppled over and some of them remained upright. Juliet had flipped on her side and had lots of catastrophic damage. "I hope I get repaired soon," she said. "Those engines have to be repaired," said Katie. "They do have to be repaired," said Allie. "It'll be a lot of parts to fix," said Ida. That night, all the engines were in their shed, fast asleep. But Juliet was having trouble sleeping. She was very warm with her boiler.